On this week's Tier List Tuesday, it was bound to happen one of these days, Coldplay. Coldplay has been named one of the most successful and influential bands of the 21st century, the successor to U2 as biggest band in the world, the 21st century equivalent to the Beatles. Coldplay has won 7 Grammy Awards throughout their career. One of their albums debuted at number 1 on the album chart in 32 different countries. They've sold over 100 million albums. Their tours are a big, huge deal. They also get bagged on pretty hard. One critic in the early aughts, or the Knots, as you might say in the UK, described Coldplay as the most insufferable band of the decade. Is Coldplay even a rock band? An alternative band? So I remember when I first heard Yellow. It was the year 2000, I was working in radio. It had a certain sing-along ability to it. You know, not everything I like has to have a blistering guitar solo or complicated layers of percussion. It was Radiohead-lite, more than it was Radiohead-like, if that makes sense. Post-Britpop, 1/3 intensity Oasis. But I liked it. Chris Martin's voice has a certain sincerity to it. He can write a good song. So for some odd reason, I actually included the cover art for the track Yellow in my tier list here, so I'm going to have to put it somewhere, and I would say that it's one of those songs that I've never really gotten tired of. The full-length album, Parachutes, was released in the year 2000. The album was very successful. Coldplay got to sign with Capitol Records in the US because of this. The album went on to sell more than 13 million copies. If you still have your original CD, there might be a track at the end called Life is for the Living. Check it out. Useful tidbit. Trouble was a minor hit and a good song. Shiver, pretty good song. Don't Panic is easy to bob your head along with. It's the opening song. It sort of gently eases you into Parachutes. There's definitely nothing weak on the album. In fact, I listened to it quite a bit that first year or so. It's a pretty good album. In the year 2002, it was A Rush of Blood to the Head. It was a quite successful album. The video for The Scientist, wow. It was filmed in reverse. Chris Martin sang the lyrics forward while walking backward. Sure, who couldn't do that in their sleep, right? Coldplay actually wanted to scrap this album before it was released, but the label said, guys, this is good. Let's roll with this. The band admits that this album was heavily influenced by Radiohead's OK Computer, and you can hear that. A Rush of Blood to the Head was Enemy's album of the year in 2002. In My Place, Clocks was a pretty significant pop song. The Scientist, God Put a Smile on Your Face. Daylight's a good song. Green Eyes, for me, was the only song in this album that just kind of didn't work and really prevents this from being a no-skips album. It's a really good album. It won Grammys, also, by the way, Record of the Year, Best Alternative Music Album. In 2005, X and Y dropped. This album gives me Pink Floyd, or at least Alan Parsons Project vibes from time to time. The album's title represents the mathematical symbols for unknown variables. It's not just squares. Speed of Sound was inspired by the birth of Chris Martin's daughter. There's a song that was inspired by the 9/11 attacks. Twisted Logic is on there. X and Y debuted at number 1 in 32 countries. It was 2005's best-selling album worldwide. 8.3 million copies that year. The track Swallowed by the Sea, if you take away Chris Martin's vocals and put Bono vocals in this song, it sounds just like anything U2 would have been doing there kind of around the turn of the century, all that you can't leave behind, that kind of era. There's a hidden track on the album, Till Kingdom Come, which was originally written for to be sung with Johnny Cash, but then he went and did that thing that a lot of rock stars do. He died. All in all, this is a good album. It left me a little, I'm not sure I'd say disappointed. After A Rush of Blood to the Head, I was hoping that they would at least equal that or maybe top that. The Best of compilation, Coldplay The Singles, 1999 through 2006. I'm including this on the list. I'm mentioning it because I want to make aware the Blue Room EP, which was released in 99, had gotten pretty hard to find by 2006. Good luck finding it, now. Other than that, it's pretty much a by-the-numbers greatest hits package, but I'd still say it's a good greatest hits package. In 2008, Viva La Vida or Death and All His Friends. Basically, they took the guitars and put them up on the shelf, or at least the prominent feature of guitars. Viva La Vida means live the life in Spanish. It was inspired by a Frida Kahlo painting. The title track has a 30-piece string section. Personally, as some of it does like classical music, I was pretty cool with that. There's also a hidden track called The Escapist. At the time of its release, the album was streamed more than 30 million times within the first month of its release on MySpace. That's right, I said MySpace.
Hey, everybody, an old man's talking.
Picked up Grammy wins for Song of the Year, Best Pop Performance by Duo or Group with Vocals. It's a pretty solid listen from beginning to end. I don't know if this album would convert you into being a Coldplay fan if you weren't already, but if you were, I would imagine you'd think this is a pretty good Coldplay album. You'd think, good job, guys. And it was a nice next step in the evolution of Coldplay. In November of 2008, the Prospekts March EP dropped. It featured a few leftover tracks from the Viva La Vida sessions. Life in Technicolor is a pretty good song. Other than that, I didn't really feel like anything else stood out. It's not bad. In 2011, Mylo Xyloto. It was a concept album telling the story of two characters. So you'd think with the concept album, they'd try to give it a name that meant something, right? Mylo Xyloto means nothing. This was one of the earlier albums in which they sort of expanded into multimedia associations with their music. There was a comic book series tied to Mylo Xyloto. The band collaborated with Rihanna on the track Princess of China. That was a big pop hit. The album was originally planned to be more acoustic and stripped down, and then it became bright and electronic. A lot of different places there. I thought this album was nice. Paradise was your standard pretty good Coldplay song. Charlie Brown is kind of cool. Every Teardrop is a Waterfall was this close to being a jam. I liked this album, but I didn't love this album, so I'm going to say it was a good Coldplay album. It's not really one that I revisit much. In 2014, it was Ghost Stories. This album was inspired by a lot of heartbreak. Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow were separated at the time of the writing of this album. The album was pretty successful. It debuted at number 1 in 24 countries. The track Midnight really leans into ambient sounds, more so than anything they've ever done. Ink is kind of a different track. This is neat, and I wish I would have been able to see this. They played just a handful of shows at smaller venues, those kind of venues where 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people, the best places to see concerts, really. And the album was streamed 3.8 million times in its first week. That was a record at that time. On the track, A Sky Full of Stars is basically Every Teardrop is a Waterfall Part 2. My perspective at this point in time is that Coldplay had officially become one of those bands that I like but don't love. I'll always be interested in new music when they release it. I'll probably maybe really like a few of the songs from each album, and I'll probably feel kind of meh about the rest. Ghost Stories I felt was okay. It really honestly left me wanting more. It had its moments, that's for sure. A Headful of Dreams was released in 2015. At this point, I kind of feel like Coldplay had really decided to commit to being a slightly alternative flavored pop band, really. A Headful of Dreams, I think, really establishes that right out of the gate. Put the album on, hit play, that's a pop song. On the whole, the album does have a colorful, bright sound. Adventure of a Lifetime features a guitar riff inspired by Prince. Headful of Dreams debuted at number 2 on the Billboard album chart. Beyonce is on the album on Hymn for the Weekend, so that helped that be a hit. Noel Gallagher, Tove Lo. It was one of the best-selling albums in the world in 2015, and the tour was one of the highest-grossing tours of all time. Adventure of a Lifetime, clear to me that they decided that each of their albums needs at least one of what the kids back then would call a bop. Everglow is a return to classic Coldplay piano-driven song. Army of One just didn't work for me, somehow. Up and Up. Oh, here's where they put the guitar solo. At the very end of the album. Okay. And we have another album that's okay. In 2017, the Kaleidoscope EP was released. It featured the track Something Just Like This, a collaboration with the Chainsmokers. You probably heard this on the radio a lot. If you count this song as an official part of the Coldplay discography, it's their most streamed song ever. Almost 3 billion streams on this. The Kaleidoscope EP had a big hit, a couple of good songs, All I Can Think About Is You and Hypnotized, a couple of so-so songs. As far as I'm concerned, it's okay. Things got interesting in 2019, Everyday Life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious album. It was a double album, a serious album, half titled Sunrise, the other half titled Sunset. Arabesque is a great song. There's a saxophone solo by Stromae. Everyday Life debuted at number 1 on the UK albums chart. Trouble in Town is about police brutality. The title track of everyday life, unity, social justice, world peace. There's a diverse range of global influences. African gospel choirs, Middle Eastern instrumentation. Broken has a gospel choir section, very much throughout. Orphans is apologetically a catchy song. The title track is a classic orchestral Coldplay number. Even though this is a double album, and even though this album was easily, in my opinion, their most ambitious album for sure, for an album that covers so many different styles and incorporates so many different elements, I think it's somehow, at the same time, very focused, and I do believe it is on this tier of Coldplay albums. I guess, I don't know if you call it a mid-career triumph, late-career triumph for the band. If you're almost 20 years in, that's at least mid-career. And then, in 2021, the unthinkable happened. Music of the Spheres, produced by Max Martin. And if you're hiring Max Martin, you want, Katy Perry sounding songs, Kesha sounding songs. That's what you're going for. Now, this album is a concept album inspired by the planets in our solar system. Higher power. They filmed the video in space, which is cool, but you've got a higher power. That's like if Hall & Oates got back together. That's the kind of song they'd record. The album featured a companion app where you could explore the album's themes. Again, using that multimedia. You can tell that there's classical music influence here. There's a lot of electronic influence here. Some of the collaborations include Selena Gomez, BTS. They were a big thing around then. They used emojis for some of the song titles on this. Okay, before I really piss off the diehard Coldplay fans, if your preferred style of Coldplay is upbeat and fun, this might very well be your favorite Coldplay album, for all I know. It's definitely the Coldplay album for you. I just wonder if somebody walked up to Chris Martin after Everyday Life came out and said, "Chris, are you all right?" This album was the overreaction to that question. I don't recommend this album. Me personally, as a Coldplay fan, not a super fan, but as a Coldplay fan, I don't recommend this album. Moon Music from 2024. It's a sequel to Music of the Spheres. And that's what it sounds like. I don't want to sound mean, but I've been dreading. After I heard the first single on this album, I was kind of dreading hearing the rest of the album. The first single, Feels Like I'm Falling in Love. Chris Martin, buddy, you make a lot of money. I expect better lyrics than I know, la 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 la. I know, la 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 la. But it doesn't end there. The very next song features, I'm guessing, twice as many la la las as the first single, the track Good Feelings. If they ever start putting dance floors in Starbucks, you'll hear this a lot. It'll be like on a loop. All My Love is a pretty by-the-numbers Coldplay ballad. It's not bad. I don't think it's great. And spoiler alert, the last minute of the album is, you might have guessed it, la 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 la. I thought there was one good song in the album. It's a song called We Pray. He grabbed some notable contributions from the hip-hop community. Yeah, it's a hip-hop track, kinda, sort of, and somehow it's the best thing on the album. It's actually a listenable song that I could listen to more than once. And that's basically the only song on the album that I feel like I would want to hear again. And I think part of the appeal might just be that it's such an unusual Coldplay song. Maybe that's it for me. The band has said that they are only going to do 2 more albums. So that means we'll get those last 2 albums sometime in the next 5 to 10 years. I really honestly, sincerely hope that at least one of those 2, the band manages to focus on and succeed at what Coldplay can and often does succeed at, and that is musical artistry. They can make hit singles. They've proven that. Dear Coldplay, when you get around to making your last album, sure, you can put a couple of bangers on there, but give me something creative and interesting and triumphant. Please, guys, go out on top.